You've all been immersed in these various sports, long careers, successful careers. What's your future prospectus on, baseball, football, basketball? Is the future bright? What are we looking at?
I'll tell you one thing, football is up and running, and they're just going to do great things financially. Football is going to just go to the highest levels of entertainment than I think any other sport.
You know what? The playoffs this year really helped. It was amazing. And we were all excited every week. It was great. It was great. You're totally right.
I'm very worried about CTE as a doctor in football. CTE. That's the future I'm worried about.
Right.
Well, some of us is living that right now.
Oh, okay. I don't think you are, Frank.
Yeah.
Looks like you're
baseball too. It's baseball too. Scioscia, you're a catcher, man. You got hit at the plate, during that time, man, where they just come in and crash into the catcher.
Heck
so
yeah,
I mean, CTE is a part of baseball too, man.
I'll tell you what, I don't remember any of those collisions. I don't know if I got it or not. But yeah, it's a different game right now as far as that play. But like the questions of future of sports is particularly baseball. This is the first time in my life I'm a little concerned. We've always had a little attrition with a lot of players. Like when I was young, everybody, I'm 63 now, but everybody tried to play baseball. Everybody, it was like one of the three sports. You played baseball, you played football, and you played basketball, but everybody tried it at least. We've lost so many athletes over the last 40 years because baseball's a tough game to like get the hook into players, to get them in. It doesn't have the action, the natural built-in action of basketball or football or hockey even. Now lacrosse is getting big. Soccer, which I think is a communist sport, but still everybody loves to play it now. It's getting big in the United States. But like we used to joke in soccer, oh, you're playing soccer. What, did your parents get pissed off at you? They're making you play soccer. That's what we used to joke when we were young. Now it's like everybody's playing, which is great. It's a great sport. But baseball's a tough game to coach, especially when you have the 8, 9, 10-year-olds that are just starting. You've got to grasp the energy. You've got to get to I see coaches out there with 3-hour practices with 12 kids. And by the end of practice, these kids are out there looking for worms in the outfield. So my feeling is I'm a little concerned about baseball. What happens at the major league level is naturally just blasted down through all the levels. And when you see this labor issue that's absolutely ridiculous now, that they're going to miss some of Major League Baseball over what is really coming down to pennies. You see that happening, and the effect it's going to have on dads that are going, what are these guys doing? Oh, you don't need to get into that sport. Forget it. There's labor strikes. I've been through like 6 labor stoppages in Major League Baseball. So I'm a little concerned with that. And things like the Urban Youth Initiative, which is going on in Major League Baseball. I pour my heart and soul into youth baseball out here in the Canal Valley, just getting guys to understand, if you want kids to play baseball, you have to make baseball interesting to them. And it's not just sitting out there at a 3-hour practice and they're not learning anything. So we're trying to get more invigoration into our practices, and hopefully it'll have an effect. But I am concerned. There's been a huge attrition in the number of kids that are playing baseball now compared to even 30 years ago. And that trend has to be reversed. There's no doubt about it.
So let me ask you a question that I've always wanted to answer to. You have the single A, double A, triple A, and you get especially football players that are great baseball players, but they choose football because they don't want to go through that process of the minor leagues and catching a bus, going, be in the middle of nowhere, and if they play football, they're in the city with all their friends and family. Is that going to continue to be an issue, or do you think that some kind of way they can have a system that's more induced to kids moving up either faster in the game, or at least some of these towns that they have to play in, that they could play in towns that are more closer to city type living?
Yeah, there's a lot of questions wrapped up in that. It's a great point. I think it's always going to be a pull for a kid if they can go into basketball or go into, especially basketball now in college, a lot of kids are one and done. They play football in college, and they get out and they can get, I'm not sure what the restrictions are in football. How if you have to go all 3 or 4 years, you guys are probably well versed in that. But in baseball, yeah, the minor leagues are there for a reason. It's it's where you really hone your skills at the level you need to play in the major leagues. For years, we've done it backwards. You're paying kids, when I signed you made $500 a month in the minor leagues. That was it. And the pot of gold was the major leagues. I don't think that's ever going to be changed. I think that the high end guys that are drafted in the first round, maybe the first 10 picks that are dual sport guys, they're going to get a nice payday for Major League Baseball, much like the Murray kid from Oklahoma that signed with Oakland, but then went back to play with the Arizona Cardinals. He just made the choice that football was where he felt his passion was. He would have been a tremendous baseball player, and still is a tremendous baseball player if you ever wanted to try it. So those dual end, high end guys will have a decision to make. They're going to get a huge bonus out of baseball to sign, but they still will have to go through progression in the minor leagues to get there. And the minor leagues in professional baseball is tough. I spent 4.5 years working my way up with the Dodgers. It's tough, and everything you said about it is right on the money. A lot of times you're playing on crappy fields. A lot of times you're playing on worse fields you played back home in high school. And they've tried to get upgrades in each city to try to do that. Now they're reworking the whole minor leagues, where Major League Baseball is getting more control over them. So there's probably going to be a little push forward to pay them a little more, but it still won't be enough to get them out of what they might get if they can get that contract right away from football.
Well, Coach, I
Thank you for that.
Hey, Coach, I kind of think it's also marketing too. I think the marketing of the game is one that's not as exciting for the kids. If they can do the things that they try to do, like the mics and in between, miking some of the things, the little nuances of the game that you never really get to hear. I mean, when I was a kid like you, I mean, baseball was king. It wasn't none of this other stuff. But you got so many things that take away your attention from the game, and you've got a lot of athletes that say, hey, instead of me playing baseball, I'll play something else. But if you can market the game and interest the kids to play the game, there's a lot of money to be made. It's a sacrifice, there's longevity, and then there's other avenues to go besides just on the field. Once you get there, you can become in different areas of the game. You can go to those areas and explore moving to management and things of that nature. But certainly within the Black community, it's disparaging because it's not. We talk to Shooty Babbitt. You had Vida Blue and these guys. They say, man, guys from the community that played in the major leagues. They say, man, there's no little league, no none of that. So it's really to market the game to the inner cities and elsewhere to get people excited about baseball because it's a different game, but guys are making a lot of money. And you mentioned about what's going on now with the collective bargaining deal, the talks. I feel as though, man, baseball has to come to terms and settle, because if not, you're going to miss a lot of fans. They were out with the COVID situation, and now you have an opportunity to get fans back in the seats, and you're going to come out with a strike. It's not a smart thing to do, because people can lose interest in a heartbeat with all the things that are going on, especially now in the world. So you need a distraction. You need a thing like baseball for fans to go to a game. And so I would hope that the cooler heads prevail. But hopefully, Coach, I can get your number later. I'd like to talk to you about some things that I'm doing and get some, you too, Coach Adams, too, as well, because of the baseball story that I'm doing.
Oh, I'd love to, Raymond, and you're right on the money with everything you talked about. Baseball in the last 15 years with the Urban Youth Initiative is trying to get baseball into areas that it just kind of shriveled up. I don't even know what I mean. LA has such a rich history of baseball throughout this whole Southern California, everywhere. You look at Eric Davis, you look at Darryl Strawberry, you look at all the guys that came out of the city that all of a sudden these kids are playing other sports because the everything just shriveled up. Tony Regan's works for out of the commissioner's office, has done a great job with the initiative. I've done a lot of camps down there. We have just trying to light that spark into kids like you're talking about. It is as much marketing as you're saying, but it's also that personal lighting that spark in a kid when you get him on the field. And, you see him go into that 6 holes, a shortstop and backhand one. And he's been working on his eyes light up and they go, that's what we're talking about. Good. This is what the spark that you put into a kid's that lasts a lifetime. And you're right about the money. And it's not just the kids that are going to make it, but it's the kids that still have the passion for the game that are going to pass it on to their kids as you move forward. And there's been a disconnect. Baseball was so lucky in 1994 after the strike where there's no World Series that they bounced back quickly in the 90s. That's not going to happen now. You miss any more this season. If they don't get a deal done by this week, I am really worried about what the season's going to be. A lot of owners are looking at, well, in the COVID, we only played this many games and we had a good World Series. That's not going to happen again. Fans aren't going to take that this time. So you're 100% right about a deal needs to get done. The deal needs to get done this week. What they're talking about is really, it's just crazy to say they're going to shut down baseball over what they are arguing about. It just makes no sense. It defies common sense, defies logic. So I'm with you. I hope it gets done quickly. You're 100% right about the damage that it will do to the game if we don't get this season off quickly.
I'm glad you brought it up, Mike, because I was going to ask you how you thought about it and what you think, with this lockout and all. But you pretty much summed it up really well. With everything going on in the world right now, it's the last thing any sport needs. I mean, we need that to release to getting away from all the problems. And I was a good basketball player, but I love baseball and I like football too. But baseball is my favorite. And I got to tell you about Emmett. You're doing the umpiring show about him. My dad and I used to love him. He would kick his leg out when he would call strike 3, and we thought he was such a character. And from everything you guys said, he seemed to be a really great guy, and we love that.
I want to comment on what you guys were talking about with baseball, Ray and Mike. I read a lot, heard a lot about Alex Rodriguez tried to talk Patrick Mahomes, and because his dad played in the major leagues for quite a long time, he tried to talk, and Patrick Mahomes has a great arm. I mean, he could have been a major league baseball player, but here again, he chose football, and it could have been. And Alex really tried to talk him into playing baseball, and so did his dad. And I mean, he's a great football player. Don't get me wrong, this guy's amazing, but I think he could have probably been a very good pitcher also in Major League Baseball. But here again, he chose, and it could have been over, decision, marketing, love, whatever. He chose football over baseball. Yeah. I don't know if you were aware of that, Ray, but I read a couple articles about it, and I think Alex Rodriguez might even be his godfather. Yeah.
He is. Actually. Yes.
But you had the same thing for Russell Wilson too. I mean, he was a pretty good baseball player. Right. And the love for the game.
Right. Sure. And I'm
Frank
sure
Stevens,
Gary Adams had a lot of
getting back to your talk about the rough climb through the minor leagues.
We're going to speed out.
It's
and
right now it's been
we'll do the stand.
It's been a matter of guys are choosing to go to the quick trip, go to college first.
I need one line.
So I got a couple facts here. This year, last year when the draft was held, each team had 20 choices, right? So the Dodgers and the Giants took of their top 20 players, they chose 16 of 20 were out of college. The Angels, out of their 20 choices, took 19 out of the 20 were college. In the old days, when I was playing, it was rare that college players were chosen. They came straight. Right. The Mickey Mantles came out of high school. But boy, the tide has changed. So Frank was talking about rough climb through the minor leagues, a lot of players, baseball people, guys who could be good baseball players, don't choose to go that route. You know, they don't want to do that climb. So the best way is to get your degree. It sounds like I'm recruiting right now, and that's, you know, but
This is a major pitch for baseball.
that was all. Mike Scioscia. Yeah, well, you had one of my guys, Troy Gloss, in 2002.
Oh yeah,
turned out to help the Angels quite a bit. It only took him 1.5 years to get to the big leagues, you know, after playing at UCLA, you know, but he was a first round draft choice.
and you know, Gary, Coach, he always was telling me, we were looking for a shortstop, ended up being David Eckstein. He was always telling me, he goes, Soch, man, I can play shortstop. I can play shortstop. I can play shortstop. You know,
because he played short for me.
It was a shortstop. I'm there. I said, T-Roy, I said, I know you play shortstop. We need you third. We're going to find somebody to pick it there, but you're too good of a third baseman. He was, he always wanted to play shortstop, but I know he played it for you there.
Yeah, well, he was, his competition was little Jackie Santora, who was 5'6". Troy was 6'5". Jackie had more range. People always said, why don't you play Jackie there? But Jackie couldn't reach the line drive over the shortstop's head where Troy could grab it easily.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're up against the hour here, everybody. Kind of parting words. What would you like to impart upon Tony? And Tony, what would you like to impart upon everybody as we close shop here?
First, I want to thank everybody who came on and you know, give the time to check in with me and visit with me. I often tell people that I don't know any one person that should have been allowed to do all the things that I've done, and I've been very blessed over that. Yeah, I know other people have had a lot of, you know, great careers, coaching, playing and everything. And I wasn't a coach and I wasn't a player. Like I've always told many people, I really didn't play for Coach Wooden. I wasn't one of his players. I wasn't one of his assistant coaches. And I wasn't really one of his family members, but I was just a good friend. And I've had great experiences. I've had a great life. I've been truly blessed. I've done more things than any one person should have ever been allowed to do. That's all I can say. And Coach Wood was just part of my life. But it was over friendship, and we had an agreement that I was going to help him out, and it was done by a handshake. And I also said that the first time somebody said I was doing it or found out I was doing it, and they said I was doing it for any other reason, then I would stop. And we agreed upon that. And I, for 35 years, 3 days a week, I went to his house and took care of him before I went to work. And then the last one that someone finally found out I was taking care of him, and he was failing and he had a lot of health problems, they asked me to go move in with him and live with him until he passed away. And I asked the athletic director, I said, what if this takes 10 years? And they said, we don't care if it takes 50 years, just take care of the guy. We're going to pay your salary, just go live with him and report back. And I was pretty nervous about that because I thought, well, what if this took a really long time and I came back and everybody was gone and we did it on a handshake and somebody's word of honor? Well, I could have been out of a job, and maybe not finished my career at UCLA. But, I've been truly blessed. I have a great family. I'm really proud of my daughter and her work. She's now one of the senior associate ADs at Texas, the Longhorns. Wow. She's up for two other positions. University of Virginia's one, and also Indiana, at IU. So I don't know if she'll leave Texas or not, but my wife's been a school teacher for 42 years at St. Mel's in Woodland Hills. And she actually got a beautiful plaque and picture from the Pope. And I told her, I said, I got a lot of autographs, but I never got anything from the Pope. So we're hanging that up in our house. So we hung that up in the house. Yeah, she retired after 42 years of teaching. I've been blessed with the coaches that I worked for. I've been so blessed with so many great athletes that I've had. And, I've cared for them all. It didn't matter who they were or where they were from or what their skin color was. It didn't matter to me. If they came in that door, I was there to take care of them. That was my responsibility. And that's what I always did. Yeah.
Hey, Tony. Hey, Tony, when I think about just being at UCLA and you think about, the coaches, Coach Adams, Coach Skates, Ducky Drake, Rayford Johnson, Coach Wooden, just the people and some of the women leaders too that were there on campus. It was just a real great time to be at the university. There was so much pride and just the people that were there with the character that they all carried themselves with was really a blessing for me to just come through that era and be with the guys. I mean, you just never knew. I mean, just having a guy like Ducky around and just being supportive and the kind of guy he was and leader he was and the wisdom that he carried and certainly the history that he had with the great athletes and again, couple that with Coach Wooden, man, it was just an incredible environment. And so for you to have a handshake, from UCLA, that couldn't happen today. That wouldn't even, a guy wouldn't even go for that. But for that handshake and the guy stand on that was about character. And it's a time that's gone by, but the same bodes well for you too. Your character to accept that situation and be there for Coach Wooden is really a story that really has no equal. For you to do what you did for Coach is just an honorable thing, and a love for a person and his character is just says a lot about you and Coach Wooden, man. And I'm just thankful to just know you really and have to spend time with you as well.
Well, a lot of people thank you so much. I mean, that means a lot to me. And a lot of people have always been after me to write a book. But I always tell them I'm not a writer. So I've had people wanting to come in and do the book or write the book, but they wanted me to pay a lot of money to have it done. And trainers don't make a lot of money. So I don't have that ability. And I know 10 years has already gone by since he's passed away. And just in that year alone, I lost him, I lost my brother-in-law, and then I lost my own father in 1 year period. So it was a real tough time. But the experiences and the stories that I have, because he shared so much with me about all of his players, and I mean, people don't realize Rayford Johnson played basketball for him,
Yeah.
I mean, so there was, I remember one time I was in his office and Jackie Robinson in 1971 walked into the office and I ran around to find a baseball to get Jackie to sign it for me. I was so in awe of, and then I wind up, in 70, I was Dodger bat boy. So, I mean, it's just that I came out here. A lot of people don't even know it, but Ducky hired me and brought me to UCLA. And I was so poor, I had no family. I slept in the training room at night. I had an army cot and I used to sleep in the training room. And then I would eat training table during football season. The rest of the year I had to scramble. The weekends I didn't even have food to eat. But I went to school and I worked my way through school and I slept in the training room and I took care of who I could take care of. Yeah.
Well, I think you got a story, and I mean, we even talk about Ann Myers. Look at that. I met one of the basketball players and ended up marrying Don Drysdale. But I'm just saying, man, Tony, I'm sure we've got some kind of brewing connection that somebody can sit with you and really write that book, because it's history. Mm-hmm. It's a history and it's a love of a university, and it's a sacrifice of making it. You have a story to tell and a walk with greatness as well. So, man, you've got a tremendous story, and 10 years doesn't matter. It speaks to people's hearts to today, and it tells about some legendary people that and intertwined with just like the people that were on this call today. You know, you get a story with Mike Scioscia. You got a story with other people, Kiki Vandeweghe, other people, Wayne Embry, people that paths that cross. It's just a tremendous story for an individual to have and a journey to have and be able to have that perspective for people to see it through your eyes, your lens. I think you've got to do it. You've got to, and we've got enough people in the UCLA organization that we need to contact or reach out, and somebody will come forth. But I think you need to do it.
Yeah, and I want to share one more thing with KC's daughter. When your father was with the Bucks, he was going through a little tough time, and I went and got him a lot of help for his own health and for his life.
Yes,
and I helped save him to move on to what he was able to go on and do with Boston Celtics. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you so much.
I spent a lot of hours with him privately and helping him with his health issues.
Yes.
And I know a lot of people don't know that, but I went to his house many nights to make sure he was going to get through the next day.
Amen. I thank you for that.
Sure.
A lot of people didn't know all the stuff that he went through.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah. I appreciate it so much.
And I know that I've never told a lot of people, and I was a little hesitant about bringing it up. But I was there for 2.5 years with him to make sure he got to the next phase of his life. Yes.
I thank you. And that's just as the gentleman said, that's something that needs to be shared. But you got him through. You know, that's important. So I really appreciate that, and please feel free to share that.
Thank you.
I didn't know you were Casey's daughter. I've seen him at the tennis courts in Berkeley. I'm from Berkeley, California.
Oh yeah.
I used to see him at the tennis courts. He and Joe Morgan at the tennis courts in Berkeley, California, playing tennis. You know, out there. I'm out there running. I said, you know, as a guy, I said, man, these are the legends out here playing tennis in Berkeley, California. So I'm honored to meet you as well. I had no idea. I came in late on the call, but
thank you.
Yeah, of course we know the history at USF and the whole deal about the college days there. But because again, talking to Frank Robinson, because I wanted to talk to him about interviewing for this documentary because he hated him in Ashford, but he's talked about Bill Russell. He said, man, he sat the Pine when I was in high school. I said, Bill Russell was on the Pine? He said, yeah, he sat the Pine. He was a mascot. I said, what? So I just said, because he went to McClymonds. But they met at USF. Yeah, but incredible. And just like we said, baseball was king, and there's so many stories, Tony, that you have, and you mentioned quite a few here today, and you've got to pin them. You got to sit down and put it down to paper because it's a tremendous story, and everyone that's on this call and more or have some part of it, of your story.
Gary Adams wrote 2 beautiful books, and he just wrote a second book with Winning with Honor, I think it was. Gary, am I correct on the title? With Dave Roberts and John Wooden on the cover?
Yeah. The book is based around the pyramid of success and what an old timer like John Wooden, how he looked at those words in this pyramid of success, and how a youngster like Dave Roberts looked at it. So it just came out recently. Winning with Honor, John Wooden, Dave Roberts, if anybody's interested. This is my wife, Sandy, who knows Tony quite well.
Hi, Tony.
Hi, Sandy. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
How are the girls?
Doing good?
Good,
Yeah.
good.
How are you coming along?
Slowly, every day's been a challenge, but I'm trying to get there. It's going to take quite a while. They
Slowly but
said,
surely, Tony.
6 months to a year. So we'll see. Yeah.
We're keeping you in our prayers.
Thank you. I appreciate
No
it.
doubt.